You know, ICE agents have children too. Most of them have children too. And it's not as hard as you think to figure out who they are, where they go to school, their names. It's not hard at all. I'm confused. They're allowed to attack trans kids. They don't have a problem attacking children of same sex couples. I don't understand. Like, and I didn't say anything about attacking. I didn't say that. I'm just saying that if you see a child and you think to yourself, this kid may be a direct link to Gestapo or a Nazi in their house, put them on notice. I think this is a safety practice. If a child goes to a public school or even private where there are marginalized people, staff included, they need to be put on high alert that this child is a direct link to someone that could get them killed. I don't see a problem with this. It's all about safety. I am not saying attack these kids, but I am saying remember what happened to the family members of Gestapo and Nazi soldiers? Remember what happened to them?
It's really hard to justify attacking children or putting them out in some sort of way, doxing them, whatever. It's even not even trying to justify it by saying that these people are bad, they do bad things, so we should in turn be like the monsters we accuse them of being. It's just it's one of those things that it tells you, it shows you hurt how hurt and how angry some people are over, you know, these ice raids. And I can sympathize with that, but we have to draw the line somewhere. Right? We have to draw the line somewhere. And right here, I think we've since long since should have drawn the line where with any type of rhetoric that speaks like this. So before we do a deeper dive into this and what's been going on lately, guys, like, comment, subscribe. Sicky Series continues. We're on the men day by day, little by little. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss new uploads. And I came across this, just opening up TikTok and seeing what's what, seeing what's going on. And of course, we're all familiar with the ICE raids going on across the nation and the deportation mandate from the president, and how I think a lot of it has kicked up once ICE has really put a foothold in some sanctuary cities, specifically like say Portland and Chicago. So we're seeing a lot more protests. We're seeing a lot more people come on and voice their opinions. We're seeing people getting arrested, people getting hurt, on both sides of this, and we often forget that a lot of these people are just like you. They have a job to do, right? Doesn't make what they're doing doesn't make it cool. You have the option of quitting, of leaving, but I think we have to be rational adults and at some point in time say we cannot be condoning the doxing of people, the doxing specifically of children. What is that supposed to do? Like, let's play that out on a larger scale. What happens when you go after the children of these agents? What's supposed to happen? Is that going to stop what's happening, or is that just going to put you in the crosshairs, or and would that just help remove any type of compassion for your side and what you have to say? Now, I think conversations like this are important because what often happens, we get swept up in larger sort of categories, and one of those categories is black, right? When people see people espousing these beliefs, you can say, oh, this is a liberal woman, right? You can see the hallmarks that you might want to say of this or that. But often we get lumped up into one category and then we get judged by that. And I know the internet is the closest thing we have to, democracy, in which you can say what you want to say up to a point before, the moderators or the algorithm may catch some things and delete some things and silence some voices. But we see a lot of times that these voices aren't something that's silenced. Speech like this is often just kind of allowed to go, and it's only like years later in a congressional hearings are like, well, why was this not censored, or why was this okay but the equivalent on the opposite side wasn't? That's neither here nor there. The issue here is people will see this. People in looking for justifications for justification why they are awful towards black people, black women, or people on the left. They'll look at this and they'll propagate that, and we see it happen, right? We see it. I think Fox News loves doing stuff like this and taking clips like this and putting it out there and saying this is the poster child for the left. This is what they believe in. This is what they're saying, and then people buy into that, and people and we just become more and more pulled apart, more and more divisive. But yeah, I said a lot to before we play this again.
I'm confused. They're allowed to attack trans kids. They don't have a problem attacking children of same-sex couples. I don't understand. Like, and I didn't say anything about attacking. I didn't say that. I'm just saying that if you see a child and you think to yourself, this kid may be a direct link to Gestapo or a Nazi.
So I believe I said that on another video. I don't know if it was posted because things get out of order. What we often do is when we're trying to vilify someone or some entity or some institution, we liken them to historically what we say is the worst thing ever. Nazis is a big thing that usually comes up. And we heard a lot of speech from, once the war was over and people were just simply saying, I was following orders. And this could be a very, very well could be a case where, someone says, yeah, I was following orders. I know there are other agents who don't believe in this, right? Who have spoken out and who have resigned from their post or who simply refused to do that and left the agency. So that's a very real thing. We see, sort of political witch hunts happen, say with the FBI, people that aren't in line with the president's thoughts and positions, who have been persecuted or have been fired or just sort of simply resigned. So there's an element of that, and that's always going to happen. We're always going to try to liken our enemy to the worst thing ever. But the minute we involve their children, right? This isn't something where the sins of the father, are passed on to the son. This is something you're using that as justification why you want to hurt these people, hit these people where they hurt, where you can possibly hurt them, their children, right? This again, this type of talk, this type of rhetoric becomes very dangerous because everyone becomes very sensitive when it comes down to children. We don't want to walk down the path of talking like this, believing this, espousing those words, or sort of championing this. And to be fair, on TikTok, one, she, I think she blocked comments from happening. And a lot of comments saying, no, this is not the way. This is not the way. Unfortunately, they're also linking her to, instead of just looking at her as this is her beliefs, her ideas, you're linking it to a party. You're thinking that everyone believes this without saying just, we need to get to a pack where back to a part where saying what you're saying is wrong. That makes you wrong. Not everyone that looks like you, not everyone that sounds like you, not everyone that believes the same things you may believe in to a lesser degree. But again, I want to highlight this video because there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of pressure, and I think things will probably get to a head sooner rather than later. But if we all can sort of remember that, leave the kids out of it, I think we'd be better off for that. Let me know what you think.